Good afternoon, everyone. This time I will discuss the spreading activation, priming, and word recognition. So, for many years, psycholinguists have been doing experiments to explore how activation spreads when we hear or read a word or a phrase. We will look at one of the classic types of experiment. It is basic because it's relatively simple to understand and because people have used many variations of it to prove how our minds understand language. So the experimental task, what the participants are asked to do, is to decide as quickly as possible whether a set of letters flashed on a screen for, say, 200 milliseconds or one-fifth of a second make a word or not. This is called a lexical decision task. In a typical experiment, half the sets of letters make words and the other half don't. The non-word sets of letters are chosen to look very much like real words, dog, for example, dog, pert, and not CZYX or AAAA, so that the participants actually have to read the stimuli to decide whether they are words or not, and the words and non-words are mixed together in a pseudo random way so that the participants can predict whether the next set of letters they see will be a word or not. Usually, the participants are asked to push a button if what they see is a word and to do this as quickly as they can. If the stimuli have been set up to make this easy, the letter is easy to see and in a horizontal line near the middle of the screen in a familiar typeface, making common short words. Then it takes them, on average, a little over half a second. So let's say 600 milliseconds from the instant at which the stimulus begins, and to push the yes button, they see when they when what they see is in fact a word. So a new set of letters might be flashed about every 1.5 seconds, which means that the screen is dark for 1.3 seconds after each stimulus. That should be plenty of time for participants to press the button if they're going to, and then they get ready to pay attention to the next stimulus. So if the stimulus come along too quickly, people don't have enough time to respond. And if they come too slowly, people zone out. People will zone out. So, how can it be used to study spreading activation? So, here's one way. When you're setting up the lists of words and non-words, include some pairs of words that you think should be related in meaning and set up your stimulus list so that those words will be shown one right after the other. Remember to vary the mixture of words and non-words in a pseudo-random way, just as if you were making up a true-false test. So a small part of sequence of stimuli and responses might look like this. So here is this example of pseudo-random mix of words and non-words for a lexical decision experiment. So we have here stimulus and response. So for prut, there is no response. For knob, they will they button push. And for door, also button push. For leg, no response. For rise, button push. For toke and thip, no response. Then for lift, iron, and song, button push. And for woods, no response also. So in this list, there are three places where one real word comes right after another real word. So for knob, door. Leaf, iron, and iron song. As you can see, knob and door are related, but the other two pairs are not. So decades ago, psycholinguists learned that if two words are associated in a participant's mind and one of them gets flashed on the screen first, the participant pushes the button faster when the second one appears than if the words are not associated. So, of the five button pushes that would have been recorded for the subject, the fastest way or the fastest one probably would have been the response to door. So, a real experiment to study the strength of different kinds of associations would have several hundred stimuli with maybe 20% of the real words showing up in pairs like this, meaning that only 10% would be second members of a pair. So that's done so that the participants won't become conscious of the pairings. So the spreading activation model, of course, predicts exactly this. When a skilled reader sees a word like knob, its meaning becomes activated, and then that meaning automatically starts to spread activation to everything in his or her mind that is associated with it, even though the person is busy doing something else, including verbal concepts like turn and pull, and object concepts like door. So activation will have been spreading from the word knob to its meaning and onto all these associated meanings, and then onto their lemmas in their spoken and written forms. If the next stimulus the person sees after knob is one of the forms that has gotten some activation even before he or she has seen it, it will naturally it will naturally reach its activation threshold faster. So the button will be pressed faster if door follows knob than if it had followed an unrelated word like see and saw. Psycholinguists say that knob has primed door and other words closely related to knob, meaning that knob has given door and, of course, those other words some activation. So, in general, if making a particular response makes it faster for a person to take some other response, we say that the first stimulus has primed the second one. Hundreds of priming studies have been have been done with this task and several others to try to see what kinds of words, ideas, and phrases are related in people's mind. So there you go, everyone. Thank you for listening and have a great day.